Hi everybody! Today I thought I would bring you along as I make a dinner that we frequently order when we go out to a diner that we like. And the last time we went out, we were just a little bit disappointed because it's usually really good. And but that was before we had our own chickens and started making more and more of our own food at home. And so when we got there, my husband placed his order and we had it and he's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, I bet I could do better. So tonight I'm trying it out, and his order is country fried steak and eggs, eggs over medium, hash browns, and an English muffin. And I just ran out of English muffins that I made myself, but we have some homemade bread. So come along as I show you how I made a copycat for the Perkins country fried steak and eggs. All right. I'm going to start by shredding some potatoes. Now, you might see me struggling with my shredder a little bit. It used to have some grips that would hold it down, but I've kind of got it jerry-rigged for now. It's still better than hand shredding. I'm going to put some salt over my potatoes to leach out some of the extra liquid so they don't boil so much when I fry them. I'll mix it in so that the salt can start leaching out the liquid. And then I'm actually going to pour a cup of cool water in there too, so that it can leach out a little faster. I'll be draining this all out before I stick it into the oil. Let's slice up some homemade bread. I bake once a week, and then I freeze a large portion of it so that I can take it out and defrost it for the next day. So we'll be using this instead of English muffins. I've got some cube steak here, and each package has 4 cube steaks in them. And I'm going to see if I can make them stretch a little bit more because there's 7 people in our family. And honestly, look at how thick this is. It definitely needs to be a little bit thinner to make a good country fried steak. So I'll dry it off a little bit so I'm not, splattering beef blood all over my kitchen so much. And using my rolling pin, because I do not have one of those hammers, I'm just going to beat the living tar out of it until it's the thickness I want. On the second piece, it pounded out so thin and wide that I was able to cut it in half, and I can make that into 2 portions. And just repeat with all the meat. Now I'm going to season my meat with some salt and pepper. I'm just seasoning one side because I'm going to be stacking them together, and so the other side will just absorb some of the salt and pepper from the first side. So I'm just going to stack these up and get them ready for breading. I like to save dishes, so after I get these stacked, I'm just going to make my breading stuff in the bowl that I had the meat in originally. On the left, I've got some flour, and on the right, I have some eggs. To that flour, I'm going to add some salt. Tried to open it, but my hands were wet. And then some black pepper. I tried to shake this one, and it didn't work, so I had to open it. But I want it very peppery. The restaurant version was very peppery when I tasted it, so I wanted to make sure I had a lot of pepper in my breading. Little extra salt because I started thinking, it needs a little more. Now let's whip up these farm fresh eggs for coating. And I usually end up with a little extra egg and flour, and I'm going to use that for a scrambled egg, and I'm going to use that for the flour in my gravy because might as well use it instead of just dumping it out, right? Here I'm grabbing one of my flattened cube steaks, flouring it first, then I'll dip it in my egg mixture. The first coat of flour helps the eggs to stick, and the eggs helps the second coat of flour to stick. And then I'll take it over to my oil where I will kind of somewhat deep fry it. Coming back over to the hash browns, I like to spread them out in the pan with a little salt and pepper after I've drained them. And cover it with a large lid with a little bit of a vent so that it kind of cooks the potatoes. I like to remove my meat to a rack so that the air can circulate underneath it when I stick it into the oven to keep warm. If you put it straight onto the pan, then it kind of gets soggy underneath. And this just really helps, especially if you don't have a convection oven. We used to have a convection oven up in Alaska, and since we've moved down to Iowa, we have not had one. So I'll just stick this in the oven. I think I have it at 350, just something to keep it warm while I'm finishing the rest. Let's check on our spuds here. Let's stir them around. There you can see they're starting to get brown on the bottom. And then after we have stirred them around nicely, they're only about halfway done, so I'm going to put the lid back on and finish cooking them. Here they are mostly done, so I take off the lid and crisp them up a little bit. I'm actually doing this in 2 batches, so I'll eventually push those toward the back and do the same with the second batch. Now here I've got the beginning of gravy. So it's the leftover flour batter, and I've got some oil from the frying of the meats and some milk, and I'm just mixing it all together. I didn't need to season it anymore. It had plenty of salt and pepper. While we're waiting for that to thicken up, I'm going to crack some lovely eggs in there. Actually, they're cracked into the cups so that if you get a bad one accidentally, you don't do it right into your pan. My husband likes over medium eggs, so some salt and pepper. And me flipping eggs is not pretty, but it usually gets the job done. And if I mess them up, then I eat them instead of giving them to my husband because I am less picky about what style of egg I want. Now, he'd eat anything I gave him. I could serve him shoe leather with a Worcestershire sauce garnish and he would say thank you. But I just like to make sure that he gets my very best work if I can possibly manage. It's almost painful to watch, isn't it? Flop. Oh, so close. And recovery. Back to the gravy. Let's make sure that there's no clumps in it. This gravy turned out really good. So, even if there was a couple little clumps in it. Oh, I forgot to mention, I put a little bit of chicken bouillon in this, and I think that's why I didn't need any extra salt. It was really good with some of that dried chicken bouillon in there. Really took the flavor up a notch. Other than that, I don't think I added anything else except I'm going to add some pepper in a little while to really raise that pepper note that my husband likes so much. My pepper flakes are too big for the holes, so I just do the best I can. All right, let's dish up. We've got eggs, we've got the country fried steak in the front, hash browns toward the back, a couple slices of toasty bread, just lightly toasted, and top it all with gravy. And my husband likes the cherry jelly on his toast, so that'll get on at the table.
Wait till you try.
Did you already try some?
So, but I know what country fried steak tastes like.
Oh. So you guys gotta, Dad's gotta let me know how it compares to.
Jelly on top.
It's good, honey.
Good.
I need some jelly.
Okay, I'll give you some jelly. Hold on. We're gonna let them get theirs. Eggs are better. That's actually really good. I had a little bit too.
Can you pass down the Tabasco?
You got it? Yay, I'm glad. As you can tell, my husband is the strong, silent type, especially when he's eating. But hopefully you heard a few grunts of pleasure while he was stuffing his face full of his favorite order at our local diner. So now I'll go over it to let you know what I thought of the end result and how it compares to getting it over at Perkins. Okay, so the country fried steak and eggs, eggs over medium with the hash browns and side of toast. Honestly, my family loved it. It was great. It was fantastic. Because I like to do pros and cons opposite, I like to do the drawbacks first and end on a good note. I'll do it that way. Drawbacks. It takes a lot of time and a lot of dishes that I am not equipped to do on a regular basis. So it's much easier to just go and order it and wait for it to come out to you and enjoy it and stuff. But that's part of homesteading, is that there's no such thing as a free meal. There's no such thing as an easy meal. It's just moved around, you know. Spend extra money, get more convenience. All right. So that was the big drawback of the fact that it takes a long time because it's multiple different components. You can't all do it in the same pan. The gravy is another part too. But let's see. There's a lot of good parts to it too. So the only other negative that I had is that I can never quite get my hash browns quite as crispy because I don't deep fry them. I can't handle a whole lot of fat, and the fried steak by itself was more fat than I could really digest. So personally, I couldn't get them crispy as they are at the restaurant, but that's okay for me. All right, now, positives. The country fried steak was so good. It was so good. It was thick enough that it wasn't like having like a little thin piece of meat wrapped in a ton of breading. And the breading was nice and peppery, that my husband really liked how peppery it was. He really likes black pepper. He usually has to add a ton to the restaurant one. So he was very happy to not have to do that at home. The gravy turned out fantastic. And he really liked that too. Even my kids that don't like gravy were like, yes, give me more gravy. The hash browns, I actually do like them. I know they're not as crispy as the restaurant ones, but I actually do like them that way. I like them a little more tender and then crisped on the edges and sides and stuff like that. So they were perfect for me. I really loved them. The eggs, top notch. Backyard hens lay the best eggs because they're fresh and they are, you know, they eat good wide varieties of food and so much better than the store-bought restaurant prepared eggs. Yeah. And of course, my homemade bread definitely tops the store-bought stuck in a toaster bread. And let's see, is that about it? Yeah. All in all, definitely worth it. Definitely a good dinner. Everybody enjoyed it. People went back for seconds, even thirds. And by that time, they were hurting. Um, and it was really good. If I wanted to make it on a more regular basis, maybe something that I would do is to have the meat pounded out ahead of time. Maybe pound out twice as much and then save half in the freezer or something. Another thing that I could do to save time is maybe purchase shredded hash browns that are frozen instead of making my own from potatoes. If I was going to try to make it a little bit more convenient, I might do that. Um, Other than that, though, I really love doing things myself, and I like taking something that I really love eating out and bringing it home and making it better for us. Usually that means less sugar and less salt and less fat, and making it something that's closer to us using our own garden things, etc. Sorry about that. I thought I heard one of my kiddos coming upstairs and wanted to offer him help if he needed it. So, all that to say, if you really liked me taking restaurant food and making it at home, making it a more sustainable choice, let me know, because I do that with a lot of different types of food, not just diner type things, and I really love cooking. And I would love to do some more cooking on the Homestead videos. Let me know what your favorite thing to eat out is, and maybe I'll make a video about making it at home. I hope that God blesses you this weekend and this coming week, and I hope that spring is just around the corner for your area of the world, or if you are on the other side, I hope that your summer has gone nicely. And I hope that I'll see you next week. And let me know if you have any ideas for videos. Come visit me on Instagram and Facebook. It's just Tracy's Homestead. And I hope to see you next week. Bye. God bless.